Creative writing for young children. Most teachers would agree that writing is the hardest thing they teach. In this short video, you can find some ideas on creative writing for young children. Start small. Find small topics that would be of interest to students. For young children, it is always a good idea to start with topics that they can relate to their personal experiences. As a start, get students to write just a few sentences to a short paragraph. Creative writing can be a good way to practice sentence structure and grammar items. However, don't pressure students to produce a piece of work that is error-free. Instead, let them be creative with their writing. At the early stage of writing, it is more important to have children get into the habit of thinking logically and expressing their thoughts freely. The best way of introducing writing to young children is through reading. In the next section, let's look at some examples of doing creative writing with storybooks. From reading to writing. In this story, Dad's Run, Dad joined a race, but he injured his leg and could not finish the race. After reading the story with students, do a writing activity with them. Ask them to write a get well card for Dad. They must have had some experience of getting hurt or a friend getting hurt. This familiar context makes the writing activity more purposeful. Try turning the activity into a shared writing or guided writing. In a shared or guided writing, give students abundant support. Let them look at a model writing so they can have a better idea of what they need to do. In this pre-writing task, read the advice with students and ask them to select the good ones for Dad. After that, discuss and come up with a few more pieces of advice with them. Then, introduce them to the format and features of a Get Well card. Then ask students to write their advice for Dad. In this way, the writing task comes very naturally, and the task is simple enough for children to handle. Some of you might think that the only way of doing creative writing with classic tales is to rewrite its ending or to extend it. There's little chance of linking the story with children's personal experiences. Let's take Sleeping Beauty as an example. The prince kissed the princess and she woke up. What will you do with your students as an extended activity? Ask them what would happen next? Yes, this is a good question, but it's rather challenging for young children to answer a vague, open-ended question. Try some specific and closed-ended questions first and guide them onwards. What would they do next? Do you think they would have a celebration? Have you had a celebration, like a party, before? Then you can introduce the writing activity. Write an invitation card to a royal party. Of course, it is again necessary to introduce the format and features of an invitation card, but this will be a fun way to do it. It'll then be a good idea to ask them to give account of the real life. Look at this activity. The characters are discussing what they did at the royal party. What happened there? Discuss the questions in the margin and brainstorm ideas with students. Write some keywords on the board. Do a shared writing or guided writing with students to get their ideas flowing. In this story, The Dragon Tree, the dragon wanted to eat Floppy. The children came and rescued Floppy. Here, we're going to step up in this writing task. Ask students to imagine themselves as the dragon. Allow them to think in different perspectives and imagine how others feel. One of the best advantages of creative writing is that it effectively stimulates children's thinking at an early age and this is definitely one way. Discuss with students, now that the children have rescued Floppy, what are you going to have for dinner? Brainstorm ideas with them using all sorts of diagrams or charts. Eat something else? But what? Chilies? Other animals? Tomatoes and eggs? Perhaps a fruit salad? Good idea. What do you need to make a fruit salad? Complete the pre-writing task with students. Write a shopping list with them. How are you going to make the salad? What are the steps? See how easy it is to relate a fiction with a text type that children come across every day. A recipe. Just break the whole writing task into small, manageable steps for students. Take each step with them and provide sufficient support along the way. Teacher's role. Children are imaginative by nature. Hence, the habit of creative writing is acquired better at childhood. As a teacher, help your students form and sort their thoughts into order. Demonstrate to them how to form sentences with keywords through guided and shared writing. In the process, include ways of using the English language. Introduce the text type and ensure their writing is appropriate for the audience and purpose. As your students progress, repeat the process to encourage them to write more. Provide them with a mixture of topics that involve both describing facts and exercising imagination. Have fun!